Financial freedom is not about luck or a big salary. Break the MBA Admissions Barrier, 2nd edition reveals what it is built on. We will focus on what it says about school and schools. Stay with me, the best part is near the end. Chapter 1: Admissions and Application. The basics: application and admission procedure. Present yourself, understand the principles. 10 commandments of a B-School application recommendations, reinforcing you and your application. Break the MBA admissions barrier is mainly the result of the personal experiences of the authors, gathered while cruising through the admissions process and, hence, more of a personal take on the entire admissions process. It has been written as a resource book using facts gathered from university websites, mailed materials and brochures, official records, and the voluntarily provided experiences of successful applicants. The authors believe that following the outlined strategies would be of significant help to any applicant. However, they agree that this is not the only way and many other techniques might be equally effective, leaving the final decision in the hands of the reader. This book is neither associated with nor represents any college or university mentioned, and does not guarantee admission into any particular institution. All the information presented on a particular institution is available in the public domain and has been provided with suitable references to protect the copyrights of those concerned. While every effort has been made to provide the most up-to-date information on all aspects of the admissions and other processes, the applicant should still ensure they hold true at the time of their application, given the frequent revision of rules and directives by educational administrations. Finally, neither the authors nor the publisher can be held responsible for any consequences of actions or decisions taken on the basis of the information provided in the text itself, shall be liable in any way if the reader reproduces, verbatim or in part, any of the essays, sample recommendations, or other such material from this text, shall be liable for any violations of copyright by the contributors to the book or those contained in information gathered from a given reference, shall be liable for any claim, loss, damage or expense of whatever nature resulting from, relating to, or arising out of the reliance on, or use of, any materials contained in this book. An MBA program, especially from a leading international institution, teaches you many marvelous things, but most importantly, it teaches you to learn to be an inquisitive student for life. The program teaches you not only to systematically analyze and gain mastery over, to the extent possible, the chaos and complexities that surround business situations, but also to make the most optimal decisions in the face of risks that cannot be eliminated. It is indeed a noble calling, and those who emerge from the program are, without doubt, more effective managers and leaders. No wonder then that every year, hundreds of thousands of hopeful aspirants from across the globe apply to the hallowed institutions of business education. Limited supply and ample demand make for intense competition, and only a fraction of those who apply get in. Clearly, the most talented of the applicants have a better chance to make it, but the best prepared applicants can, and do, dramatically swing the odds in their favor, and win at this brutally competitive game. In October last year, I had the privilege of being the alumni speaker at the Stanford Graduate School of Business, GSB, admission conference at the magnificent ballroom of the Taj Mahal Hotel, Mumbai. After the GSB admissions officer had run through her presentation about the school and its admissions process, it was my turn to field questions from the audience and to answer them from the vantage point of someone who had successfully negotiated the myriad pitfalls associated with applying to a top US business school. Most of the questions went along expected lines, but there was one that I found rather provocative but quite relevant. It went somewhat like this: what chance does a normal person like me, who is not an IIT graduate, have of getting into one of the top 5 business schools? The question was greeted with a fair amount of good-natured and polite laughter, not in the least, I suspect, because the vast majority of the aspirants in the room were indeed IIT graduates. If you too, dear reader, are an IIT product, then let me assure you that you have a clear cause for joy. Even though the MBA admissions process is very competitive and calls for systematic and sustained hard work from each applicant, no matter how qualified, it is my personal observation that the odds are somewhat in your favor. For those statistically inclined, I am merely implying a correlation, not causality. I am yet to undertake a scientific study on this, but from my subjective, personal experience, this is what I have found. If you meet an Indian who has secured admission to a top MBA school, you can safely assume that he is an IIT graduate as well. And I am not alone in my belief. During my first week at Stanford, the one phrase that I invariably heard from classmates and the faculty when I introduced myself was, "Oh, you are from India? How wonderful! So, which IIT did you go to?" It will also be of great comfort to you to notice that both the very accomplished authors of this wonderful book are also IIT graduates. But what if you, dear reader, like the inquisitive aspirant from the Taj Ballroom, does not have a pedigree to boast of? Do you give up hope? Do you preconclude that a top school is beyond your reach? Do you make more productive use of your time applying to lesser schools? Heed my reply well: if I could do it, so can you. Consider this: I graduated from a rather unknown college of Kerala. Even there, I was not the best student in my class. After college, until I started my MBA program 5 years later, I worked as an IT professional, one among a million other Indians who could claim the same distinction. Neither of the two firms I worked at during this time was considered the top IT company even within the country. And even then, I could count many among my peers who were ahead of me at what I did. Turning now to my MBA application, the first time I hurriedly put together an application package, I found it so dishearteningly mediocre that I decided against sending it, choosing instead to spend another year polishing it. Probably the only thing I had going for me was a rather decent GMAT score, but these days an acceptable GMAT score is little more than a hygiene factor. So what makes the difference? Surely some amount of providence, but in these matters, you have to make your own good fortune, and work yourself into a position where luck has a chance to help you out. In addition, it takes a lot of personal commitment, thorough preparation, blind optimism, and tons of good advice. You have surely heard by now that the secret to a strong MBA application lies in the fact that every applicant is truly unique. And this is true. Each individual is the owner of unique talents, strengths, and experiences, a unique story that can potentially differentiate the applicant in the eyes of admissions officers from the best of schools. The beauty of the US MBA admission process is that it offers each applicant, especially through the MBA essays, an opportunity to tell their story in their own style. An opportunity to let their personality shine through. A chance to highlight their strengths and to explain away shortcomings. To market. To influence. To persuade. A story well told can make all the difference, but it takes deep introspection, infinite patience, and a good measure of writing skills. As I am fond of pointing out to all those who seek my advice, I spent just one night writing my Stanford essays, but I spent 6 months prior to that agonizing over what to write. In 1998, when I was putting together my application package, for the most part, I had to find my own way around the MBA admissions landscape, and there were not many signposts out there to show me the way. I clung to every book that I could get my hands on, to every website that I could Google up, and to every word of advice that was handed out to me. Also, over time, I was able to build up a rather effective support group from friends who had gone through the process before, with mixed results, and were extremely candid and generous in sharing their experiences, to distant cousins in the US who recommended books, to family members who spent long hours brainstorming about my essays. Chapter 2, Business and Degree. In the final analysis, my approach may have yielded results, but looking back, it was very inefficient as well. Sadly, even today, I find that most applicants go through the very same wasteful process of discovery that I went through years ago. Why hasn't someone distilled all the information, learnings, experiences, checklists, motivation, optimism, advice and signposts into a single, handy reference manual? At long last, a couple of enterprising authors have done just that. Together, Mohit and Harindran have pooled their own successful experiences and those of other successful applicants to produce a book that will take you right from the why of applying to a top MBA program to a detailed analysis of the how. And they have done that in a crisp and lucid style that makes for compelling reading. They speak with informed authority, and every foreign MBA aspirant will do well to pay close attention to what they have to say. In 2005, when we embarked on the journey of putting this book together, we had the simple aim of sharing our experiences with others, telling them our story and showing that a top business school is within reach if the approach is planned well. We explained the process in detail, the way we saw it. And we were happy to be of some help to fellow applicants. We are glad that our book came out just at a time when the tide was turning. There has been an unprecedented surge in applications from India, and the number of admissions to the top business schools has increased like never before in the last 2 years. People of Indian origin now account for 5 to 15% of the total intake at the top 5 business schools of the world. Of course, we were not the cause of this upsurge, but we surely happen to be a part of this. And we would like to remain a part of this trend by helping more aspirants achieve their dream of studying at a top business school through this book. This new and updated edition strives to emphasize that there is no one answer to the question, how to break the MBA admissions barrier and make it to the world's best business schools. It tries to show this through additional essays from successful applicants in the current classes at business schools like Harvard, Wharton, Michigan, Ross, and so on. This book also stresses on the belief that you can strengthen your profile and overcome your weaknesses if you plan well and execute them with sincerity. It points to the fact that one can still make it against all odds, by being spectacular in at least one part of the overall requirements, be it academics, community activities, or work experience. There is no substitute for the quality of time and effort in putting together all the pieces required for a successful application. Finally, it is all about a belief in yourself and your ambition to get there. We would only like to emphasize that every situation is unique and there is no right answer, just the right approach. We got great feedback on the first edition from both current and future applicants. This has helped us a great deal in improving this edition. We hope to get the same response this time as well. We would like to engage with you, the readers, as much as possible, and would try and incorporate your feedback and suggested changes towards making the future editions more enriching and helpful. You can write to us at mhpearson@gmail.com. We wish all of you great success in your endeavors, and hope that you make it to one of the top business schools and make us proud. And when you do, write to us and let us know. We would love to hear from you. It seems that the more civilization progresses, the wider the gap becomes between the haves and the have-nots in terms of the relevance and importance of higher education, which is getting commoditized every day. At the time when our parents were still students, the 70s and early 80s, a bachelor's degree in arts or sciences was considered enough for practical purposes like getting a well-paying government or a private job, marrying the girl one liked, and living happily ever after. People with a master's degree, including those with an engineering or a medical degree, made up the intellectual elite of the country, and let us not even discuss the MBAs and the PhDs, who were few and far between. Fast forward to the current times, and you can barely hope to get good job with a Master's degree in arts or sciences. Engineering and medical degrees have replaced the minimum qualifications required for most well-paying jobs, not in letter but in spirit. MBAs are available dime a dozen with little knowledge of business or its administration. Specialized education has become the mantra of the new age. For a high position in an organization, you need to have a Master's degree with relevant specialization, sometimes from an overseas university. Most managerial positions require the candidate to possess an MBA, and it is difficult to convince the hiring manager that your experience makes you suitable for the job, even in the absence of necessary qualifications. In times like these, when talking about the relevance of an MBA degree, one needs to emphasize the quality of this education and the reputation of the institute offering the degree much more than the degree itself. Apart from the reputation of an MBA institute, many other factors add to the rush for the top seats at major business schools. Training fresh recruits by putting them through an intensive in-house training program that will give them the specific skills required for the position is no longer widely practiced. MBAs are expected to have learnt it all at the program and be able to deliver from day one. Soft skills such as the ability to influence people, manage teams, negotiate with clients are as much required to be learned beforehand as the technical skill sets of finance or marketing functions. Finally, people are being left to fend for themselves in the new age, which means that you need to look after your own career interests. The cozy days where corporates appointed mentors to groom their carefully chosen stars are long gone. These days, stars need to be born at business schools, and hence, it is all the more necessary that you go to a place which offers you the right kind of environment for personality development, imparts the required skill sets, and puts you in touch with the people who look out for stars. Having said all this, it is not, of course, mandatory for everyone to have an MBA degree. Most people involved in business and trade do not study beyond a basic degree, for they learn the rules of running a business on the job and are able to do a good job of it. Then, there are entrepreneurs like Bill Gates who have that one idea which is able to break out of the clutter and which allows them to call the shots, with or without a degree. An MBA degree is viewed by a lot of people as a springboard to success, as it helps one in finding gainful employment and a good lifestyle. It offers an opportunity to work either for multinational corporations in positions of influence or even take one's own business to heights, and allows one to be respected and be recognized in society. MBA degree is a flexible degree and can be molded to suit one's particular requirements, such as developing managerial skills or specialization in a function such as finance or marketing. There are many reasons which are most commonly used and abused to justify the need to do an MBA. Some of the common reasons to do an MBA are career change to a different function, in a different company, country advancement in current line of work in terms of position or pay, or both, shift from being on the managed side to the managing side of the company, requirement of a well-paying job which needs an MBA, acquirement of skills to start and run one's own business, building network to expand own business and to build credibility to get the brand name of the program as a measure of intellectual capital. Of course, the list is far from exhaustive, but it includes the most common reasons. There are other ways to classify these reasons, such as those given by some of the business schools themselves, developing the leaders of tomorrow and helping one to identify the inner calling, which present a different perspective to the degree seekers. Consider a top MBA program to be a boot camp. It will keep you on your toes, load you with seemingly never-ending amount of study material, through an innocuous list of recommended readings, on top of regular assignments and projects, which in turn ensure that you operate the next. The overall effect is of living life in a state of suspended animation or virtual reality, where everything seems to have speeded up so as to test your ability to cope with it. What comes out of the boot camp is a human product, easily recognizable by his or her specific skills and attributes and the affable charms of a survivor. Among the specifics, a good business school program would cover most of the key business-oriented topics like finance, accounting, statistics, economics, marketing, which cannot be mastered in any one job, except in the instance of running your own business. The program also helps students to learn, in a short span of 2 years, advanced skills that can otherwise take years on the job. It allows the students to experience and understand the different functions of a business process in their entirety and as parts of a related and interdependent system. It helps the students learn the different strategies employed by companies and their response to successes and failures. The program readies the student to make informed decisions and to lead businesses in a global economy while also providing the benefits of mentoring and career guidance through a network of alumni spanning the globe. Chapter 3: Program and Business. A good MBA program is identified by the following attributes: a well-established admissions process ensuring top-quality talent with superior intellect as a regular feed into the program. A motivated and confident student body with a tremendous will to succeed. A strong emphasis on concepts developed through theoretical simulations and aided with practical experience through projects and internships, ensuring that people are able to put knowledge into practice when required. A focus on personality development through coaching in communication and interpersonal skills, and development of ability of people to work well in teams and collaborate with each other for larger success. Development of a global perspective, an understanding of how various business functions work together for the smooth functioning of an organization, and an ability to analyze the causes and effects of business decisions. Ability of the students to deal with time and performance pressures and to deliver the best performance in a highly competitive and driven workplace. High expectations of students with regard to pay packages, designation, and career growth after the completion of the degree. A very strong focus on advancement of one's own career, with a strong emphasis on work ethics and code of conduct. You gain a lot throughout your career by associating with a top-ranked MBA program. It gives you access to multiple career resources and to the alumni network at all times, both of which provide significant help in the advancement of your career interests. The contacts you build during your time at school will provide a lifelong support, both in your career as associates as well as in life as friends. Finally, it allows you to be a part of the intellectual elite, the few who have attended a top-ranked program, which is a proclamation of your varied abilities. The aspects mentioned below highlight as to how, in many ways, it helps to have attended a top-ranked program. An association with Harvard or Stanford gets you immediate recognition as a capable person because of the reputation of these programs, known to admit the best and the brightest from around the globe. These universities are known across the world, and it is easy for people to make favorable impressions of their alumni based on the brand value. A top program that attracts students of high caliber also develops a wide alumni base with people in positions of power and influence in all business sectors such as public, private, and non-profit, as well as government bodies and organizations. These people, more often than not, turn to the same institute when they need to hire people or scout around for top talent because they are confident of the quality of students at the institute. It always works to one's advantage to be a part of a reputed institute with a strong alumni base. A reputed MBA program is a guarantee that the most sought-after organizations such as investment banks, consulting firms, and others would be open to your application. These options are not available to everyone, for these firms look for the best and consequently hire only at top-notch colleges and universities. They usually have limited opportunities for lateral placements, since they like people to grow within the organization. Again, A top program provides the flexibility of a career change at a later stage in one's life with the help of contacts and alumni network, along with the fact that a degree from a top institute endorses your ability to succeed in any field. A top B school not only attracts the best students but also the best faculty and researchers owing to the superlative intellectual standards. Schools like Stanford and Chicago GSB boast of Nobel laureates as faculty, which attracts bright students. Students benefit from the current research being carried out by the faculty, while the faculty gains by having access to some of the best brains to test a lot of their theories through simulation exercises and class discussions. It can be seen from the placement statistics of various business school websites that the difference between average salary of the graduating class of a top school and a school ranked near the 50s is between 50 to 100%. Add to it geographical factors and the impact of economic cycles, which surprisingly have had almost no effect on the top 5 business schools in the last 20 years, and it is crystal clear that top business schools are a considerably safe investment, proven to deliver better results than their peers. As an MBA, you can be hired anywhere and everywhere, from a general manager's position to a specialized role in analyzing derivative yields. However, traditional employers at top business schools have been the Fortune 500 companies, investment banks, and firms in diversified financial services and consulting firms. In recent years, there has been a significant change in the profiles of employers with the entry of technology companies, startup firms, and non-profit organizations. A significant number of graduates are also venturing out with their own business plans funded by a stream of venture capitalists. MBAs are also being hired by government bodies to manage their operations efficiently and sometimes to even manage the election process. The overall mix of employers varies from year, depending upon the state of the industry concerned, with a major share of hires still taken up by the financial services and consulting firms. Increasingly, people are looking at opportunities to relocate to their home countries, particularly developing nations such as India and China, where the promise of economic growth and hence, career advancement is higher than that in the developed nations such as the US. However, as various surveys on recent hiring trends in the industry have shown, it is largely the salaries and the work profile that determine the decision of an MBA to take up a certain position over others that are on offer. We have discussed the most common reasons for getting an MBA as cited by prospective and current students. If you identify with one or more of those reasons, then by all means go and get one for yourself. It is an investment in yourself, which will only help you, no matter what line of work you chose as a career. It will help you make informed choices throughout your life, and you will develop skills and abilities which will help you keep on top of your work and life at all times. We suggest that you reflect in isolation, without any external influences. If you decide to join a program because it is the in thing to do and everyone else you know has an MBA, then you might be making a very big mistake because it reflects a clear lack of understanding about your individual strengths and weaknesses as well as goals in life. Getting the degree has got less to do with things happening and more with making them happen. If you do decide that it will help you with your career progress and add to you as a person, then please continue to explore the various types of programs and choose the one that best fits your lifestyle and your requirements. Make sure that you make an informed decision, for it's a significant investment, mostly to be made only once in your life. It would help to gain the maximum out of the program and the experience. The MBA degree is offered in many variations depending upon your specific needs, such as Master of Business Studies, MBS, Master of Business Economics, MBE, Master of International Business, MIB, and so on. However, the original MBA is offered mainly in 3 kinds of formats. The first is the full-time MBA, which typically takes 2 years at most American business schools and 1 year at most European business schools. Variations to the above are offered, for example, by the one-year MBA at Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University in the US and the two-year program at London Business School in Europe. Then there is the part-time MBA, more suited to those people who want to study for an MBA degree while they continue working. These degrees are usually funded by their employers. Finally, there is the Executive MBA for senior managers who want to gain a deeper knowledge of a certain function and, hence, require a very focused and short-term course aimed at filling the need gap between current knowledge and required skills. Specialized MBAs focused on marketing or finance are not much in vogue these days but have been discussed in some detail in this chapter. Lastly, slowly catching the fancy of people in developed countries is the online MBA program, which concludes the discussion in this chapter. This is the most popular and traditional MBA program. Many universities in the US offer this, and the student bodies in these schools are relatively young, with the average age of the entering class being around 27 to 29 years. We know that is not exactly young by Indian B-school standards, but relative to other programs around the world, they surely are. Students in these schools have typically worked for 4 to 5 years after graduation. There is also a portion of students with advanced degrees, mostly a Master.S, and on rare occasions, a Ph as well. Though most of these programs used to admit students directly after graduation a couple of decades ago, the trend is now towards admitting students with greater work experience. However, this does not rule out admission for a younger candidate. Some top schools believe that talent can be spotted early and encourage even college seniors to apply. Owing to the intensity of the program, life during a full-time MBA is hectic and brings a 2-year hiatus in one's career. This could mean reverting from a cushy corporate lifestyle to a tougher student life, running up a substantial education loan and probably sacrificing family life for the sake of education. However, on the positive side, a 2-year full-time MBA offers significant interaction between the students and the faculty. This could be a boon if one is thinking of changing one's career path. The second year in most of the US full-time MBAs is highly flexible, and you can choose the subjects that you want, thereby honing your skills in the areas that you want. About half the total number of courses in a typical program are elective. This is one advantage that other MBA programs cannot match. Chapter 4: Programs and Time. The professors who normally teach full-time MBA classes in the US also do a fair bit of research. Some of them are consultants to the industry and spend time working with corporations on industrial research projects. This exposure to the latest management ideas works to a student's advantage. The total cost of attending a 2-year MBA program could range from $80,000 to $130,000. Hence, financial aid and scholarships can be two of the most important criteria for Indian students. More information about this would be available in Chapter 14, which deals with financial aid and other related aspects. 1a. Basic information on select MBA programs in the US. 1b. Basic information on select MBA programs in Canada. The European version of the full-time MBA is mostly of shorter duration, typically a year, though there are exceptions such as the London School of Business, which offers a 2-year program and is, therefore, more intense than the US one. Bulk of the coursework that is handled during the first year in the US is rushed through in a semester of 3 months. This is because most of the students are more experienced and have a better understanding of the subjects before they enter the program. The average age in these European MBA programs is around 29 to 31 years. These programs are known to teach more of soft skills, courses on leadership, teamwork, and interpersonal skills, than hard skills such as accounting or finance. These schools also have a higher percentage of international students as compared to an American MBA program. Instead, in Fontainebleau, France, for instance, has more than 85% of its class coming from countries other than France. As against this, a typical US MBA program has only about 30% of non-US students. A drawback of these programs is that functional specialization or a change in career, if you want to move from marketing to finance, is very difficult, mainly on account of the short duration of the course. However, for professionals with significant work experience, this could be a great option as it means lesser time away from work as also lesser total cost. Most of these institutes have excellent connections with the industry, making placements a very successful affair. This is a very good option for those who wish to take up jobs with European companies. US firms with significant international presence such as some banks and consultant firms also recruit in large numbers from these schools. 2 basic information on select MBA programs in Europe. Source: Businessweek, 2006 and Financial Times, 2007. A part-time MBA, as the name suggests, allows students to hold a full-time position at their workplace and attend the MBA classes over a period of 3 or more years. However, it has lesser number of subjects per term than a full-time program. A part-time MBA allows you to hold a job and earn money as you study. If you are lucky enough, you could get your employer to fund your MBA studies as well. These advantages are, however, offset by the demands placed on your time. Handling both a full-time job and the workload of an MBA program could be too much for the less initiated. Your classmates would be from the same area as you, and this reduces the diversity of the class and, therefore, the learning experience. Networking through your fellow students for jobs is difficult as little time apart from the classroom time is spent together. Placement services, again, pose a problem as most of the schools focus on their full-time MBA programs rather than on the part-time ones. University of California, Los Angeles, Anderson, University of Southern California, Marshall, University of California, Berkeley, Haas, University of Maryland, College Park, Smith. In the context of Indian students, the returns from a part-time MBA program are not worth the effort if it is not from one of the top 10 to 15 programs. Else, you would be better off attending a full-time course. The commitment would definitely be greater, but so would be the returns. These programs are for those who cannot leave their current jobs and have location-related constraints. It offers flexibility by way of weekend classes and a course schedule that can be tackled along with a full-time job. The average age of students entering these programs is around 32 to 38 years. The acceptance rates in these programs are higher, in the range of 20–40%. For prospective students from India, this is a very distant option as most executive MBA programs are not considered to be full-time courses and do not lead to a degree. The main purpose of these courses is improvement in skill levels and qualifications within the context of current job. Most of these programs also require sponsorship and letters of support from your employer. Apart from being very heavy on the pocket, executive MBA programs are not usually associated with good placement services or a good choice of electives. So unless you are with an organization you would love to work with in the future and which is ready to sponsor you, an executive MBA becomes a very difficult proposition. The more reputed universities and their respective programs are listed in table. Many of the popular rankings rank executive MBA programs separately. These rankings can be used in the same way as the full-time MBA rankings. Refer chapter for interpreting rankings. The executive MBA is a fast-growing field and many universities have established tie-ups with management schools in other countries to cater to the requirements there. For instance, Kellogg conducts joint executive MBA programs with local management schools in Israel, Germany, and China. It makes good sense to check the latest developments in this field before choosing a particular program. Specialized MBAs are being increasingly offered by some B schools to cater to the needs of students who have already made up their minds about their area of specialization after MBA. While most of these schools offer specialization in the second year of the curriculum, some schools have combined regular MBA curriculum with special courses in other fields. Examples include the dual-degree MBA program offered at CMU, the 2.5-year MBA Master of Science in Computational Finance, or the 3-year JDE MBA program at Yale. Areas of specialization offered by various universities include finance, entrepreneurship, marketing, technology, and nonprofit. Various MBA rankings give a separate list of the top MBA programs. For candidates who know clearly the area of specialization they want, it is a good idea to look at the specialization rankings rather than overall rankings. The difference between the two can be stark, as is evident in the comparison in table. Nothing can replace the grueling schedules of classes, compelling arguments during case discussions, as well as the study group assignments and the fun-filled years of attending a business school in person. It's an experience of a lifetime, where people make friends, learn skills, develop themselves and go back, equipped to handle the toughest of problems, handle mergers and acquisitions and lead corporations. However, with the paucity of time and the need for qualifications taking up most of the mental space, the format catching on really fast is the online version of the program, offered by several well-known universities around the world. Notable among them are the MBA programs offered by the University of Phoenix and the Universitas 21 Global MBA, which is a consortium of 17 top MBA programs around the world. Rankings have recently been compiled for these programs as they gain in popularity worldwide. You should check these programs out in greater detail to find out more about the courses offered and the costs, as well as the timelines for completing the course. This format offers an easy route for those looking for a global certification obtained without the accompanying hassles of relocation to another country for obtaining the same. Chapter 5: School and Schools. The decision of choosing the right business school is not easy to make, but it can be simplified by the process of elimination. An MBA is a once-in-a-lifetime investment. It is, therefore, vital that you select the best possible school and, that too, one that ties in with your specific needs. The above two reasons, though seemingly alike, are at the core of the process of making the right choice. The first reason would be dictated by the well-known objective parameters used by various publications such as Businessweek and News and World Report to compile their rankings of top business schools around the world. These include perceived reputation, the recruiter's choice, starting salaries, number of jobs offered to students, the quality of education, and so on. We will discuss the same in detail in Chapter 4. The second reason is much more qualitative in nature and depends mostly on your ability to judge your specific needs and expectations from an MBA program. We will discuss these aspects of the decision-making process in this chapter. Before you progress any further, it is very important to answer the question: have you found your own reason for getting an MBA degree? In Chapter 1, we discuss some of the most common reasons for getting an MBA. We suggest you to go back to Chapter 1 and go through the reasons given in it once again. It is not important for you to conform to any of those listed. You might have your own reasons guiding you towards your goal. Once you have a convincing reason, use it as your looking glass to determine the programs that best suit your needs. A very simple but effective method is to write down the various reasons in their decreasing order of importance on paper. List only those factors which are important to you in specific detail. They could be anything from starting your own business in technology, and if possible, more specifically, like in IT or biotechnology, or living in the sunny weather of California or going to Harvard because your family has a history with that school and it equals prestige as well as tradition. Whatever they are, once you list them down, you will have a very clear idea of the most important factors which will then help you to arrive at a prioritized list of business schools for yourself. Keep this list with you throughout the process as a guide to avoid getting caught in the rankings game or in making a wrong decision influenced by the look of beautiful websites, well-designed brochures, and admissions presentations. Finally, it pays to remember that as a qualified applicant, you are an important prospective student to all good business schools. They will try their best to attract you and, in the process, all of them will appear more similar than different in their class composition, average GMAT scores and other such statistics. It is, therefore, up to you to carefully research the schools to be able to look beyond the obvious clutter of statistics and arrive at a list which fits your reasons. Once you start the search, you should embark on an iterative process. The better you understand your needs, the more relevant will be your search through the program descriptions and student profiles to understand the intrinsic nature of the business school and its students. The better you understand the cultural differences, the more will you identify with one set and hence, will suit and modify your reasons to pursue an MBA accordingly. In the end, you will come up with very specific needs based on your personality and a list of programs that best serve your needs, which is the intended goal of the process. We suggest the following methodology to be followed by prospective applicants for researching the various MBA programs. Develop a general understanding of the various types of MBA programs, Chapter 2, and read about the MBA programs, school classifications, and rankings, available from various sources, a few of which are Businessweek, Forbes, U. News and World Report, The Wall Street Journal. A discussion on them in Chapter 4 will help you understand how to use the information given in them better. A list of recommended readings is also given at the end of this chapter. However, for the sake of convenience, we recommend the above publications as they are easily available through internet subscriptions and provide a wealth of information. Once you develop an understanding of the various programs, we suggest that you use the list of reasons for doing an MBA compiled earlier to help you select a few schools at first glance. This selection would be governed by the strength of your reasoning as well as your conviction in them. However, you should be able to shortlist a few schools at this stage at a more general level, conforming to your expectations. We suggest writing to all the schools in this list at this stage asking for information brochures to be sent to you to help in your decision-making process. Now go through the criteria listed below to fine-tune your list of programs. Not all the factors might be important for you, but you would find that some of these would apply to your selection process and would help you refine your thoughts. A few other factors are not considered by applicants, which is a mistake because they are equally important. They include the effectiveness of career services of business school in placing its international students as well as the diversity of student body which aids significantly in the overall learning experience. You will need to consult the websites and brochures sent out by the schools in your preliminary list at this stage. There are some factors, which are applicable to all business schools that you need to take care about, and these are also among the first to be used for differentiation even by the institutions. Brand recognition and reputation. The school should be reputed in the field that you want to specialize in or otherwise in general management. It helps to look at recruiter surveys presented by the publications mentioned earlier, to determine which schools are preferred by companies of your choice. Class size. Small schools are highly selective, offer a close-knit atmosphere and are preferred by students. Larger schools offer a greater selection of optional courses, expert faculty with a larger number of tenured professors, access to larger number of recruiting companies, and are preferred by prospective employers. Location. Depending upon the type of program you choose, you would want a location suited to your lifestyle and convenience. For part-time students, the location should allow easy commuting from their home as well as workplace. For full-time students, it is a choice between big city or a small town, the weather, proximity to industry clusters for choice of employment opportunities, and living costs, all of which also have an implication on the quality of life. For some people, the location also needs to offer employment opportunities for their spouses, good schools for their children, as well as an acceptable level of social life. One also needs to consider the location with respect to the safety offered by the neighborhood for oneself and the family. This information is best supplied by the current students attending the program and living in or near that locality. Infrastructure on campus: housing that offers both dormitories and apartments, transportation for commuting to the convenience stores, parking, exercise and fitness facilities, a well-developed library, online services with exhaustive subscription to reputed journals, Wi-Fi or internet access on the campus, computer center and printing facilities are the typical considerations a candidate should bear in mind. The program needs to be analyzed in detail, using the points mentioned below, to understand if it offers all that you need and more, or is it more of show and less of actual substance. Design of program: this has been discussed in detail in Chapter 2 during the discussion of the types of programs, which are 1-year, 2-year, part-time and executive MBA. However, the number of terms offered in a year should also be considered, because higher number of terms allows a greater range of courses to be taken. Besides, they have the added pressure of examinations and lack of in-depth course coverage. This decision is usually based on personal comfort level and the need for practical training or live projects in case of those who are planning to change their careers or gain advanced knowledge in specific areas. Finally, the guest lectures by visiting faculty and talks by senior executives from the industry, whether built into the program or organized through various clubs and student bodies, are important considerations to build a relevant perspective for some students. The MBA program at the Columbia Business School refers proudly to the accessibility of industry leaders and their involvement with the students enrolled in the program as one of its important features. University advantage: a big university offers the advantage of courses offered in other departments, like the life sciences or biotechnology department, which can be taken as electives. It would greatly help a person to opt for such courses in order to build a career in a particular field. However, the business school itself is the final authority on such courses that can be taken and usually puts a limit on the total number of credits allowed. Joint degrees: many business schools, especially university-led ones, like the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania and Kellogg School of Management of Northwestern University, offer a dual degree option for MBA students. The preferred combinations are JD MBA offered with the Law School of the University, MBA MD with the School of Medicine, MBA MS with the School of Engineering and MBA MA with the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. Further research on these programs is left to the students who wish to pursue the same. International scope courses with relevance to international business practices, emphasis on learning a foreign language, visits to other countries and meetings with business leaders and government officials, industry-led projects and exchange programs with other universities are the various methods by which the program assumes international character and allows its students to take up jobs in different locations around the world. Specific MBA programs like the one offered by the Thunderbird School of Global Management offer a degree in international business, while others stress the international nature of their program through any or all of the above offerings. Again, one needs to understand the scope and evaluate a personal fit to decide on the program in this case. Curriculum: some programs offer preparatory courses in calculus, statistics, computer proficiency, and languages to help you get to pace before the program begins. Core courses are required to be taken in most schools, but some schools allow you to opt out by taking electives and completing the credit requirements on showing proof of proficiency in the course at some level during your studies. The advantage of compulsion comes during cases when those who know the subject well are able to lead the discussion and help others appreciate the finer points. A few programs offer courses aimed at developing soft skills like communication, teamwork, and so on. Leadership skills and ethics are two such courses, and their variants are to be found at all top business schools. One might want to look at the electives offered in greater detail in case one's interest is towards building depth in a particular concentration or even a general management focus with an exposure to a wide variety of topics. It is also worthwhile to see if the school allows you to take enough number of credits from non-business courses with other departments at the university. Finally, the integration of live projects, guest lectures, and industry exposure through visits and meetings with executives into the curriculum makes for a far more enriching and intensive business school experience. Learning experience teaching methods vary between schools. Harvard and Darden have been known to favor predominant use of the case method, while schools like Chicago are more tuned towards lectures, projects, and class discussions. Most schools, however, use a combination approach of all these methods. Teaching quality is a reflection of the experience of the faculty and their involvement in research, which allows them to share new information with students and sometimes even involve students in some of the ongoing projects. Most schools allow students feedback on the teaching skills of the faculty, and decisions like tenure and promotion of the faculty are affected by the quality of this feedback. Some schools, like Kellogg, allow for student initiatives and involvement in improvement of existing course structure and even introduction of new courses. Top schools typically involve substantial workload, and it is higher at those involving case-based teaching, simply because looking up the background material is left to students and is not factored in the teaching schedules. 80-hour work weeks are common in the first year in most business schools, also because people take time to get used to the culture and to settle down. It is comparatively relaxed in the second year, as electives are suited according to need and allow for an easier pace. A difference exists between those with good pre-skills such as quantitative skills and others, the so-called poets, who struggle to find their feet in such courses. Hence, one needs to analyze one's strengths carefully before choosing a program which is intensive on quantitative skills and requires a basic level to do well in classes. Lastly, a smaller class size would allow you more time to air your views and get more time with professors. Larger class size allows greater interaction between students and hence, more scope of learning from others' experiences, and helps to develop a stronger personality as they vie for airtime to present their views on any topic. Most students prefer small to medium-sized classes for the opportunity it offers to interact more frequently in classes. Understanding and taking into account the importance of your suitability to the culture and the people of the business school of your choice can make a huge difference between 2 thoroughly enjoyable years leading to career success and great relationships, and 2 years spent wondering what made you do what you are doing and wondering about the higher purpose of life. Faculty: it is difficult to expect all universities to be loaded with Nobel laureates. Stanford and Chicago boast of 3 each among current faculty. It is even more difficult to find a professor who is able to manage high-quality research and lots of publications in journals of international repute, consulting assignments with leading industrial concerns in her area of expertise, and spending time with students engaged in intellectual discussions and clarifying their doubts regarding the coursework. Desirable as it may be, students should be realistic in their expectations and understand that with star faculty, they would get considerably less time to interact. Hence, one should never base a decision of attending any particular school because of a few noted researchers, for if it is not possible for you to enroll for their classes due to any reason, then the purpose of joining the school will get defeated. You should discuss the situation with the current students in any school and take their feedback with regard to accessibility of the faculty as well as their teaching prowess. Also look at the faculty-to-student ratio of your choice schools, because the lower the ratio, the better are the chances of frequent interactions with faculty as well as close friendly relations like those fostered by smaller schools, like Tuck's School of Business at Dartmouth College. We advise applicants to make the effort and not completely rely on the published statistics on websites and brochures. Students, this is the single most important factor for you to consider, in our opinion, when selecting any particular school. You learn more outside the classes during discussions with your fellow students, who come from all walks of life and all types of professional backgrounds, than during the lectures. It is important to consider if your background fits when applying for a technology-oriented school like Krannert School of Management at Purdue University or Tepper School of Business at Carnegie Mellon University, for you might find it difficult to adjust to the technical discussions compared to those with a technology background who feel at ease during classes and outside them. If you are from a liberal arts background, generalist programs such as Duke might be a much better fit with a higher proportion of poets. The more diverse the student body, the higher the experiential learning during the course of the program, and, hence, you must look at the percentage of women, minorities, and international students along with the countries they represent. Their average age, GMAT scores, and number of years of work experience is indicative of whether the person next to you in the class would be able to add to your knowledge or not. Pay close attention to the nature of coursework at school. If it involves teamwork and you prefer to work alone, then you might not be a good fit for such a program. Some schools foster competition between students through relative grading, forced curve grading, and grade availability to prospective employers. Others prefer to cultivate a feeling of competitive excellence through case discussions, while maintaining grade non-disclosure policies to alleviate the fear of students. You need to feel at ease with other students to get the maximum benefits in the long run, for these people would be in your network and you would end up helping each other years after passing out from the school. Hence, it is very important to feel at home with the predominant student body culture of your choice school. Chapter 6: Schools and School. Alumni. As a future alumni, it is really important to understand the dynamics of the alumni relations as maintained by the institute, for it can be a source of immense competitive advantage, such as that claimed by Harvard Business School. It is not just enough for a B school to have a large alumni base, it is also important to maintain active interaction with them, for they can serve as guides and mentors for students during their studies as well as career search, and be links to prospective employers or can be employers themselves. To judge the effectiveness of alumni relations of any school, look at the money raised by them, the percentage of alumni who donate, and their active participation in mentoring current students. Tuck, for instance, has an alumni giving rate upwards of 60%, more than the twice of any other top B school. Staff. The Career Services Center at any school is managed by staff personnel at the school, as are the administration and other related departments. It might be worthwhile to consider staff responsiveness as well as dedication to helping students at your choice schools before making a decision. It might help you avoid a lot of frustration at a later stage, when you might be caught up in bureaucratic hassles which might make it difficult for you to effectively manage your job search or affect you in any other manner. This information is again best collected from the experiences of current students at any given school. Businessweek uses it as one of the factors in their ranking criteria, and you might be able to get more information by a close look at the results. Career prospects at any school are also important to be analyzed. Some factors that influence them are recognition of the brand value of a school as one providing top-quality talent to the industry, which attracts top employers to hire graduates year after year from the same school. Quality of students and their pre-MBA backgrounds, which provide a good network option to aid in your search and helps you to get in touch with prospective employers. Well-known faculty and their involvement in consulting assignments with industrial concerns of repute, which might be interested in hiring the graduates of the program. A strong and active alumni network maintained by the school. An efficient career services department at the school which helps students in developing USUM-S, mastering interview techniques, negotiating salary and benefits package with employers, tapping the alumni database relating to different sectors and making information readily available on past trends on hiring by companies, which are regular visitors to the school. This can also be known by seeing which schools are rated high by recruiters for a well-managed recruiting process. Geographical location of a school allowing for a higher interaction with prospective employers, such as Stanford being based in the heart of the Silicon Valley. However, everyone, the students, alumni, and the Career Services Department personnel agree that in any given year for any given school, the maximum number of job offers emerge by the efforts made by the students themselves with the aid of networks and active search through the job listings given out by major employers. Keep this factor in mind, which differentiates these business schools from the likes of the Indian Institutes of Management, where campus recruitment is the norm. Some of the top schools do offer opportunities for campus recruitment, but they are limited in number as well as dictated by the perceived specialization, such as finance for Wharton. You should now look at the final list of programs that you have with you, which fit best with your most compelling needs to get an MBA. We hope that the analysis presented earlier would have helped you in the process of fine-tuning your list to contain only those schools which, if admitted, you would be sure of attending. At this stage, we recommend the following: speak to the alumni of the school, working or living near you. The names of these people can be easily obtained by contacting the respective schools. Read all the articles available in various publications and on the internet on the various schools in your list. Write to student organizations and clubs pertaining to your interests in these schools. It will help you to get in touch with a few current students who would be able to give you an insider's perspective and answer various questions that you might have about the program as well as career opportunities. Check the websites of your preferred employers and check if they are hiring at your choice schools. Some employers like McKinsey have special staff members dedicated to specific schools. This would take a lot of effort and hard work, but you would come out pretty sure about your chances of working with a particular employer hiring at the school of your choice. If you have the resources, we suggest you visit the campus of the schools of your choice and get a feel of the culture, student body, and academic environment of the place. However, given the hassles in getting visitor-s visa and the significant cost of such travel, this is a discretionary option. The internet and publications, like this book, are resources intended to make the decision-making process much simpler and easier on the pocket. The above discussion must have impressed upon you the various factors needed to be considered when making the decision of which business school to attend. On a closer look, you would realize that all we have said above is that it is you who need to figure out what matters most to you and look for the same amongst the various programs. The fit factor needs to be overemphasized here. It is the most important criteria to make the decision, which would take up 2 of the most productive years of your life, opportunity cost, and a significant investment of your personal resources. It is more difficult for those who will attend school with their families and hence need to find an atmosphere conducive to the well-being of their loved ones. All programs might offer a good degree, but would all fulfill your specific needs, focus on your development and ensure a state of general well-being? That is the key question to which one should seek relevant answers and also avoid getting caught in the trap of great selling stories and brand name presentations. You would benefit most from the place where you will be happy and will have fun, where you will fit in. All the effort made till this point to get that list of schools ready is your answer to the simple question in the heading to this portion of the text. A good candidate typically would consider between 5 to 8 schools based on his/her requirements. The divide between the applications is such that generally 2 applications are made to safe schools, another 2 to 4 applications go to reach schools, and 1 or 2 applications are made to the dream schools. You would be sure of an admission at safe schools with your GPA, GMAT, and work experience profiles being much above the average of the class. At a reach school, your application would be competitive as your profile would be similar to the class average. Dream schools are worth taking a shot at even though your profile might not match up to the class average, because everything depends on the execution of your application, and a well-developed application might land that coveted admission into your pocket. It is always better to apply to a cross-section of business schools so as to maximize your chances of getting an admission, as well as to utilize every possible opportunity of making it to a good school. The factors that should be considered are the choice of schools in your list. If you have a strong profile, then applying to only the top 5 schools might be a good idea. However, if you are sure that you want to start the program in the coming session, then it's better to apply to some reach and safe schools along with the dream ones. Quality of applications. It is important to devote time to each of your applications to have a realistic chance of making it through to a program at a good business school. If you start early, you can prepare a framework which might help you through the entire process and do justice to 5 to 6 schools. Bear in mind that most applicants need to complete the entire process while working full-time. Cost of applications. Applications require a fee to be submitted along with them, and it might become prohibitive to apply to a large number of schools. A top-rung school has an application fee upwards of $200 these days. The start date. The timing of your decision to apply will have a bearing on the number of applications that you can make to the schools of your choice. The deadlines may have passed for some of the top schools, or you may only be able to squeeze through round 3, which might not necessarily be the best idea. The points to remember while making the decision summary of the above discussion on the selection process to apply for choosing your type of business school is given here. Chapter 7: Schools and Information. Start early. If you wish to attend business school in fall 2009, we suggest that you start the process in March 2008. Know your reasons, understand the reasons for doing an MBA, and be as specific as possible. Write them down. Shortlist schools. Based on your reasons, select the schools that best fit your needs and your personality. Use rankings carefully. Do not read too much into the rankings. Look at past trends and collectives to identify programs high in prestige as well as those best suited for your requirements. Information about schools. Use brochures, websites, information sessions with admission staff and news articles as a means to gather information about schools and substantiate the knowledge by checking with current students. Do not draw hasty conclusions. Be flexible. As you go through the process and understand it better, your reasons to do an MBA might change through your exposure to the information. This should lead to a change in your criteria for assessing the schools and should lead to a change in the final list of schools. Be open-minded and flexible about the process as it is an iterative one. Make efforts. Find out about the Career Services Department at your choice schools and compare their efficiency as well as track record at helping international students. Look at your preferred recruiters to see where they are headed for prospective employees. Find the best fit, the top rankings, the best faculty, and the brand value becoming consequential if you are not happy and comfortable with the culture of the program that you are attending. Look at fellow students, curriculum, class profile, and so on, to make an informed choice about your ability to become a part of the culture of the place. The final decision about how many and which schools to apply to rests with you. Our recommendation is to make an informed choice, keeping in mind factors which are important to you from a long-term perspective. The immediate or short-term gains of attending a low-ranked, cost-effective program vis enrolling at a top-ranked program are lost in the medium term itself, as you realize that this is one degree which travels with you and speaks more about you than the person introducing you at a conference of business leaders. Plan to spend these 2 years at a place which will provide you the maximum return on your investment in terms of jobs, brand value, alumni network, and a great life on the campus. As we said earlier, look for the proverbial fit and go with it. Recommended readings for further information: Richard Montauk, How to Get into Top MBA Programs, Omari Bouknight and Scott Shrum, Your MBA Game Plan, Alan Mendonca and Matt Simmons, ABC of Getting the MBA Admission Edge, John A. Byrne, Business Week's Guide to the Best Business Schools, Godfrey Golzen, The Official MBA Handbook. The Internet is a storehouse of information, but one needs to learn to use it well. Be sure of the source of information so that you get a complete and accurate picture of the admissions process as well as the various programs. Given below is a list of some internet websites which provide the most reliable information related to MBA programs. Various discussion boards are active on numerous chat rooms, a feature provided by many websites, where prospective applicants, current students and admissions officers interact on a regular basis. However, one needs to be careful regarding the use of information presented in these forums. Most of the times, the information reflects subjective views, which might not relate to actual facts, but still give vital information. These forums have been known to create panic situations with regard to the admissions process and most recently, have been used as a means to communicate a method to access admissions information posted by various schools at www.applyyourself.com before the formal announcement by the schools. This led to a well-publicized controversy, details of which can be easily obtained. We, therefore, advise a cautious use of both judgment and restraint in using this particular resource. The most popular forums amongst the student community are listed below. Wharton S2S is maintained by the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. Business School forums maintained by www.businessweek.com. The forums at www.mbaforums.com, www.pagalgi.com and similar other ones. Blogging is the new age mantra for MBA wannabes. You may or may not know the identity of the blogger, but quite a few people have written extensive guidelines for applications to business schools on their blogs. You can access most of the business school-related blogs through http://MBAleague.blogspot.com, which is a list of all the current blogs relating to applicants or current students at business schools around the world. Again, judgment as well as restraint is required to be exercised, since the blog would predominantly contain the views and experiences of the writer, which might not necessarily be related to actual facts in all cases. There is a lot of data available in the form of the brochures of business schools, websites, articles from various publications as well as books, and you need to start from somewhere in order to make sense of the information overload. This is where you need to look at the suggested rankings of business schools by various renowned publications mentioned in chapters 2 and 3. These rankings serve as a guide to understand how the various programs stack up against each other on various parameters. You can make your own rankings by combining the results of the various parameters that are important to you from the figures quoted by some of the surveys conducted by Business Week, News and World Report, and others. You will also be able to see the rankings of programs all over the world, such as those in the US, Europe, Canada and Asia. However, sometimes it might be inappropriate to directly use the rankings and arrive at a conclusion, let us say, between the US and the European programs which are of different durations and involve different costs. Another factor, which is usually considered for the unofficial ranking of programs across the world, is the prestige or the brand value of the program as understood by people. We advise you to talk to a lot of people, friends, colleagues, current students, even bosses, to get their perceptions about the top programs. It is all the more important for international students planning to return to their country in future to understand that some programs have a higher brand equity than others and would stand them in a good stead in their own country due to better recognition of the program. A number of rankings for business schools are published every year. While these rankings influence the overall opinion about the programs, one must recognize that they are not the final word. It is wise to take into account what these rankings have to say, and also use your own research and judgment to plan your strategy for applying. Rankings from the following publications are the most widely used ones. Chapter 8, School and Business. News and World Report, www.usnews.com. Any ranking is determined by the criteria that are ultimately driven by human judgment, including who to survey, which criteria to include, and how to accord weightage to each of these. Rankings change from time, and the ranking lists that are mostly referred to are general in nature, that is, they do not separately rank schools for different criteria. While this presents an overall picture of the school in question, it may not help answer specific questions that you may have. It is better, therefore, to supplement overall rankings with functional rankings, such as those in Business Week and News and World Report, as well as conduct in-depth research of the program to see how well it suits your needs. Popular rankings from the sources mentioned above have demonstrated inconsistency over time, and more so, across different sources. Consider the top 5 schools in these rankings: the Wharton School of Business, University of Pennsylvania Kellogg School of Management, Northwestern University Chicago Graduate School of Business, the Wharton School of Business, University of Pennsylvania Kellogg School of Management, Northwestern University the Ross School of Business, University of Michigan the Wharton School of Business, University of Pennsylvania Harvard Business School, Stanford Graduate School of Business the Ross School of Business, University of Michigan Tuck School of Business, Dartmouth College Tepper School of Business, Carnegie Mellon University Haas School of Business, University of California, Berkeley the Wharton School of Business, University of Pennsylvania. A total of 13 schools have been ranked in the top 5 by various business school rankings. This is only one pointer to the degree of variation that exists in the process of rankings. News and World Report and Business Week, the most well-known rankings, have been published for more than 10 years. Rankings from the Financial Times, Forbes, and the Wall Street Journal have come out recently. News and World Report's ranking is generally considered the best ranking because their system is the most transparent and their rankings always come closest to people's perception of relative prestige. There are 3 schools which have been ranked at number 1 by News and World Report in the last 10 years: Stanford Graduate School of Business, Harvard Business School, and the Sloan School of Management at MIT. Yet, none of these 3 schools have ever been ranked number 1 by Business Week. Instead, the only schools to achieve the top position in its ranking are the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania and the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University. While the Financial Times has only been publishing rankings for the past 3 years, it also uses relatively transparent criteria, and is respected as a ranking, with some caveats. The only schools to hold the number 1 position in its ranking have been Harvard and Wharton. It would not be a wise idea to rely too much on the numbers that are published by one particular source. The ultimate purpose of ranking is to help you target the right B schools and the right kind of MBA program for you, and not to decide for you which B school is the best and which not. The best strategy is to supplement rankings with your own research about the schools. Remember, a better ranked school need not necessarily get you a better job or a higher salary. The key reason why prospective applicants need to be a little wary of rankings is the sheer range of criteria that go towards determining why a school should be at the top and why another should be at the 27th. However, there are some common determinants of rankings, such as GMAT scores, earning potential, recruiters' views, and yield rates, which act as great aids in directing us to our dream schools. For instance, Financial Times combines around 20 factors in ranking the world's top 100 programs, notably, students' career paths, diversity of experience and research quality of the school. While these serve as good indicators, especially when comparing schools across continents, there are certain inherent risks as well. For example, salary comparisons across regions are standardized by considering the relative purchasing power of the various currencies. However, the sizable differences in tax structures in these locations are not considered. Similarly, other subjective factors like alumni satisfaction levels are considered. Conversely, some other factors like diversity indicators, women and international students, percentage of alumni working abroad, etc., qualifications of faculty, doctora. That is the heart of Break the MBA Admissions Barrier, 2nd edition. If it helped, a quick subscribe keeps more summaries coming. So how do school and schools connect? That is exactly where we started. Go back to the top and watch it click into place.